Welcome to Spirit Baby Radio. I am your host, Kelly Meehan, a citizen of the universe and a passage keeper and mentor for our new Earth children. I believe we are entering into a new psychic structure of our reality, and it is meant to embody deeper trust and ways into solid self-love and fearless integrity. Our new world energy of spirit babies needs us to consciously create within conception, trust pregnancy, and have freedom to birth and parent from innate wisdom. This is Spirit Baby Radio. Welcome to episode 247, June 2026, Spirit Baby Stories, 7-11, where numbers meet miracles. I'm honored to welcome our special guest. I call an expert in motherhood from conception to pregnancy. Pilli, welcome.
Hello, Kelly. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm really, really flattered to be here with your audience today and to share the story of 7-Eleven.
Yeah, and I love this because I always tell everybody, how did we meet? How did we connect? And you sent me an email. And I had to, I got back to it, took me some time. And I thought, wow, what an amazing story. And by the way, I really love in this docu-series, I love the intro. It's so magical and it's so beautiful. I'm very visual. I'm just a clairvoyant part of me. I'm so visual. So I really appreciate that. And I love the little clips. And I'm not going to give too much away because we're going to talk about it. And I thought, you were on my radar. And I was like, wow, this would be great to come on Spirit Baby Radio. Like, this is perfect. So, and then we connected.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read here a little bit about you. And so Pilli is a filmmaker who has just completed a deeply personal project called 7-Eleven, Where Numbers Meet Miracles, which tells about her journey to becoming a mother at 50 during the pandemic, a journey in which the concept of spirit babies was truly at its core. In a relationship with her partner 21 years younger and after two miscarriages, it was the message from Spirit Baby that guided her to keep trusting and to seek egg donation as a way to give her body to the soul that was asking to be born. Along the way, she went through fetal reduction, an experience that touched her soul deeply and that she's still learning to forgive and integrate. She continues to feel presence of that spirit baby, the one who couldn't be born, and that connection inspired her to donate her remaining embryos. It also became the driving force behind creating a docu-series. Spirit Babies is something Pilli speaks about in her film, which is dedicated to Osman, the baby they lost, whose spirit she believes found a body. This is your share. I want people to feel like, well, yeah, what is this story? What is this connection? And so let's go there. So you had two miscarriages. Let's step from there.
Yes, I did. So let's start to tell a little bit of the backstory. So basically, I met my current partner, Ross, uh, back 10 years ago, 11 years ago. And already the meeting was a little bit like full of synchronicity and magic. I do believe in magic, I do believe in synchronicities. And the way we met, it felt like it was meant to be. And we met on the 7th of 11, the 7th of November. And we didn't know, but we had an age gap, a huge age gap. So we just realized that we were 21 years apart, me being the older one. And we didn't really care about it. But later, when we decided to create a family together, obviously he was very young, but I was already around 49. And I knew that this was probably not going to work. But we tried, and magically, I got pregnant twice at the age of 49. And we were really, really happy and over the moon. But sadly, I lost them both times because probably my eggs were not viable. And I mean, it was already a success, but yeah, he didn't go forward. So we started to research and see what can we do, what can be done, because I'm a person that when I want to do something, I just put on my cape or like a superhero cape and I just want to make it happen. And I thought, like, if this baby's meant to be, if there is a soul, a spirit of a baby around us, then there would be a way out. So we were really determined to make it happen. And that's why we started to research um, different methods and tools that could have helped us, and we discovered egg donation. And of course, we also consider adoption because many people ask me why you didn't adopt. It was not like out of question. It was something that we really considered. However, when we went to some meetings, the fact that it took probably around 3 years in order to even maybe start a conversation and maybe get to have a kid through adoption, it felt like too long because I was already almost 50, so we didn't want to wait such a long time. It didn't feel right for us, although I think that adoption is a wonderful thing. And so we started to look into egg donation, which was something that I really didn't know much about, and we thought, like, okay, well, let's do some meetings with some experts about egg donation, and we found out that the possibilities of having a child even later in life using an egg donor that is a younger donor then has to 50 to 70% of creating birth, a live birth. So we were like, okay, let's try that. However, the first obstacle for me was, okay, what does it really mean for me to have a baby through an egg donor? Because the egg is not mine. And it is for a woman, I think it's really very hard to let go of your own genetics, the genetic link, because it feels like a betrayal. It feels like your
Mm,
man is, like creating a baby with another woman, right?
mm,
It feels really weird. Initially, it felt like that, and I was like, okay, this is probably my best shot. However, I couldn't really make peace with the idea because it felt like I'm functioning as an oven to cook this child and bring it to the world, but it's not mine, right?
mm,
Um, so I had to think about it. I really had to mourn my genetics. I really had to, and I know that this is a problem that a lot of women face. So the reason why I'm saying this is because it's very common and it's totally natural because this is what, we are wired to have children with our own genetics.
mhm.
Um, However, something happened, and I talked about this during the docu-series, and I want to speak about it now, although it's a little bit of a spoiler, but I think it would inspire your audience because I know this is something, it's a little secret that I know they would be very happy to know. So basically, I'm a little bit of a psychic, and I have this connection, these links with the spirit world since when I was young, when I was a child. And already with my previous children, I had two children, two biological children from a previous relationship. And my older son, when I got pregnant, and I was only 23 and I was still at the university, a month before getting pregnant, I had a dream of this little baby coming to me and saying, "Mom, I'm here. I'm going to come to you very soon." And I saw clearly this little baby coming to me and announcing himself to me. And when I woke up, I was terrified because I was only 23. I was at the university. I had absolutely no plans of getting pregnant. And I thought, okay, this is a weird dream, but it felt so real. It felt such a connection. And a month later, I was pregnant.
Wow.
So it was a kind of a prophecy, and
Hmm.
the incredible thing is that I clearly remember the face of this baby that announced himself in the dream. And when my son turned around the 3 or 4 years old, he was exactly the copy of this baby that announced himself in the dream. So I saw him even before conception. And fast forward 2020, when I was mourning my genetics and I was deciding, am I ready to use an egg donor or not? I was writing my diaries, etc. And this time I was not sleeping, I was awake, I was on my bed, and all of a sudden I felt a flutter in my belly, as if I was
Mm.
pregnant, like a sort of a little kicking butterfly wings. And I felt like a sort of a voice coming to me and saying, Mom, I really want to come to you, but you need to let go. You need to let
Mm.
go. Let me come through. I'm just here for you. It doesn't matter how I'm coming through. And then all of a sudden it clicked. I was like, okay, this is it. This is my baby. This voice, this little soul, this little butterfly is my baby talking to me and begging me to take a leap of faith and
Mm.
to, you know, just being selfless and not think about, oh, I need to have a genetic link, otherwise it's not my baby. Yeah, this is obviously what it is in the three, like in our world, in the 3D world. But if you consider that there is a spirit baby out there
Mm.
who wants to come to you, then all of a sudden, all you need to give to this baby, it's a vessel
Yeah.
in order to come through to earth side and come into your arms, because that's what we need in this world.
Do
We
you
need like
feel
this.
Do you feel like when you got that message that helped you? Like, because I know those tuning in are going to be like they're struggling with that, going, you know what? This genetic piece, and I never heard it said the way you said it. It's like it's someone else's or it's another woman. Like, who is this? Because it's that biological, like that primal part of us that wants that connection. So, what do you feel like that spirit coming and saying, "I'm here, just make it happen"? And you're a very good manifester, I can tell, from many different areas of your life. And then you're going, okay, how do you get out of your own way?
For me, it was clear. The moment I heard his voice, I was like, my question all of a sudden was like, who am I to deny the existence of my baby just because I
Mm,
want him or her to have a body that is genetically to mine. Like many people were saying, and I was saying as well, oh my God, then this baby is not going to look like me. People will think that it's not mine. Maybe the connection is not going to be there. But you're not having a connection with the body. You're having a connection with their soul, with who they really are. And who they are is not their body, is their soul. And they chose you before conception,
and I want to
even
say, I was like the whole like this is one thing I do hear a lot. A lot of people will question, a lot of women mothers going, "What, yeah, what will they look like?" And I think we're supposed to process that. And something I share, which is kind of interesting, like me and my husband, he's half Filipino. He's dark skin, almond shaped eyes, brown eyes, jet black hair, and his the kids look like me. And with both of the boys, this has happened in real life in a city, by the way, where someone asked him if it was his kid.
yeah. No,
And
it's
yeah, so I'm like, it can happen to anybody. I almost feel like, and but I think it's something that you think about, and I totally agree with that feeling of, I know when I received my firstborn over 35, which is a lot of tension in the world, is like, oh, you're over 35. And I felt like to not like, I was like, if the soul's here, it wants to be born. Am I going to resist that? Am I going to be open? And I do feel like then we have to, we could somehow surrender to go, yeah, would that not be fair to bring this being in if they want to come in? And I do feel like sometimes it's the struggle of the vessel, like coming in and what does that look like? And this is really neat. Something I want to go back and something you said too is, you had those prophetic insights. Like it sounds like your firstborns were like, "Hey, I'm coming." You're like, "What? No, you're not."
Well, either you
I
want
guess
it
you
or not.
are. And then you come into this space, and so you feel like something similar of like, oh, there's something here. And yet, what you had to do, what I call is a creative conception. Like, let's
Yeah.
be creative and let's see what could come. But it's a lot of hard work for you. What about your partner? Like, I want to hear this because I know you can't speak for your partner, but you're the vessel. Everything's going through your body. You're doing all the hormones. How did that feel for to feel like also receiving another egg? Like, is it different for the partner, or was it more you feel like was your kind of energy that was more upset about it at first, or really looking deeper at it?
That's a very good question because, a lot of the times we are concentrating on the woman because she's the egg recipient. But then the partner, that could be another woman or another man, they're not really taken so much into the picture. And I think in my specific case, Rossa, that's the name of my partner, he was absolutely um, like on the same wavelength as me. He really, for him, it really didn't matter that it was the egg of another woman. Actually, we thought it was the most beautiful present and gift ever. But for him, it was super clear that I would have been the mother and that this soul wanted to come through and that this was our child that was about to come through, and it didn't matter which body this child would have had. It didn't absolutely matter for him at all. So
I
it
saw
was
his,
very
yeah,
supportive.
watching
Yeah,
him I know he shared some moments in the docu-series, which
yeah,
is really sweet. I really like, especially on this journey where it is about partnership. And it was nice to see his energy peeking in here and there and just adding his own kind of, you know, seasoning to the space because you're creating together. And
absolutely.
I'm sure partners have different feelings about it as well. And again, I know we're not speaking for him, we're speaking for what you feel like. Maybe you've seen how
Yeah,
how he's helped you along the way. Um, I know, like, and maybe you can agree with this or you can sit with that, is I feel like when we're receiving, and especially if it's like an embryo or like even an embryo donation is a big deal for people, or it's like not sperm, not the egg of the family. Or,
yeah,
I always feel like the body synergistically with the bones, the blood, like it creates a connection. Like they have even said, science has said that anytime we're in pregnancy, we carry like tissues and stuff in our bodies. Like
absolutely.
yeah, I
For
was like, well, that's
years,
wild. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
decades. Yeah, that's absolutely true. And also there is the all the theory on epigenetics as well, uh, which obviously doesn't mean that the baby is gonna look like you. Like epigenetics cannot make the baby look like you, although in a strange magical way sometimes egg
It
donor babies they
does.
look like the mother,
It does.
which
I've
is
seen
very
babies
magical.
adopted. Listen to this one. I've seen babies adopted like outside of the womb, and they look like the family.
I know
It's like,
it's a
I think that's the epigenetics. Like you morph, they morph into their family. It's
it,
so wild.
it is wild. I mean, in theory, epigenetics says that you can turn on and off some genes because they are in your uterus, so that you can turn on and off some genes. However, the genes are the genes of the other person, so it's technically impossible that they will look like you, but for some magical reasons, so sometimes they do. And
They
if I need
do.
to tell you the truth, my two other children, my boys, which were born with my own eggs, they look absolutely not like me. Maybe the second one,
Yeah.
they look not nothing like me. And
Yeah.
my daughter, our daughter, who was born through an egg donor, sometimes the people say, "Oh, she really looks like you," and she is not genetically linked with me. So I mean,
Wow.
genetics goes, it's really wild, and sometimes, there are genes from your ancestors that are coming
It's
out, and
true. Like, who knows? It's such a new science. I feel like genetics is such a new science. There's not a lot of it. I guarantee it's going to keep changing.
yeah, no,
Dr. Bruce Lipton, epigeneticist,
yeah,
he was on Spirit Baby Radio a few years ago, and he said you can put a family like an adopted child. He literally said this, you can have an adopted child in the family and that kid gets the family's cancer. Why is that?
yeah,
Because it's the environment. It's
no,
not,
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
it's really interesting how he shared that. And I thought that's interesting, because I think what he's getting at is, when people are like, well, we're not minimizing that there's this, I think it's an energetic connection, like, oh, my father had a heart attack, so I'm going to have a heart attack. And everyone's going to, is like, what's happening here? So you're all just going to go have heart attacks now. It's like, what is being changed in that storyline from even the ancestral stress? And then
Yeah,
what are you doing that's going to be different in this timeline, right? I
yeah,
mean, that's the big piece. But again, it's such a new science. Like I can't speak for it. It's not my area of expertise. But energetically, when I look behind the scenes of different things that are kind of, I was like, oh, years ago it was all about like dirty genes and MTH. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. And I felt like people are getting so like caught up in that, like our mitochondria, our cells, they're doing wild shit all the time. They are changing rapidly. Like this is
yeah.
why people talk about miracles and things that happen. It's like because they don't understand them like fully. It's
Probably we don't
true.
have the full picture yet, and that's why we don't
Yes.
understand why sometimes they can look like us. But yeah, in the end, it doesn't really matter if they look. For me, at least, they didn't really matter
Yeah.
if my daughter would have looked like me or not, because I just knew through this spiritual link that she was our daughter. She was ready to come, and we were just we had to go and conquer this body for her so that she could come through. And that's what we did.
Yeah, and I want to say in this docu-series that I watched, you had me on the edge of my seat because it was during the pandemic. And like, we're not going to tell. We want people to watch this because there were moments where I was like, this is not going to happen. And then what miracle, divine intervention, how things all got formed together was like wild, really, because I was going, that's interesting because I felt like when I was following your energy, you knew in your heart, this is happening. Even when disaster came or we're shutting the borders, you're just like,
Being the core to
yeah, I was
it.
like, what's happening? And then it was like I can feel your conviction of like when you were going through, I can really sense in your energy, you were like it was going to happen regardless. Like it was going to
That's very
happen,
good
which
point.
is very interesting. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, I have this thing. I really think that sometimes in life we really need to believe beyond the logic. It's not about faith. It's different.
Yeah.
It's this kind of knowing rather than, because when you have faith, it's like a kind of, I hope it's going to go well, but it's not really. No, in this case, it's a knowing that this is going to happen. It's not a wish, it's a knowing. And even when everything else is screaming no, you go like, that's fine, but I keep going because I believe beyond the logic that
Mm.
this is going to happen. I don't know how, but this is going to happen. And it feels like, oh, maybe you're stubborn or you're just to have this wishful thinking. No, I think it's the, and we're going back to love, the love of a mother
Mm.
even before conception. And that's why, because I had this link even before conception with our daughter. And so for me, there was no other way. I was going to give her a body. I promised her a body, and I was going to. And
Like
then
I'm
the
committing.
universe,
This is
okay,
the
you
first
did it.
motherhood, the mothering experience to like bring
It
into
is.
the before.
Motherhood
Yeah.
starts before
Yeah.
conception,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, it
And
does.
and if you love your child, then you're just going through fire, you're just going through everything, and that's what we did.
Mm.
And I think the universe, I was shouting this a little bit too much loud, and then the universe made it happen in a way like, okay, I'm gonna test you and see if you're really on it or not.
Because yeah,
And then
there were moments in the series where I'm just like, where's this going? Like, right? I was like, oh no, what's happening? I'm like pulling the popcorn out, like what's happening? But I also felt like I really appreciated your vulnerability to like,
Mhm.
because I could tell you were not acting. I could tell there were very real moments of like, this is kind
Yeah,
of where I'm at, like this is what's going on. And I'm just going, wow, because we didn't know when they closed the world down what that even meant. Like
no,
nobody really knew, and people were sick, people weren't sick, nobody knew anything. And that alone is scary because you're just like, I don't know what's happening. And then having to like, have a transfer, like, and then you're just like kind of like going through it and then still not knowing because then you had to fly, you had to leave the country to get to whatever safety or whatever the rules were, right? In those certain areas. And then something happens and you felt like after the transfer, did you feel like you were pregnant or were you just not sure?
no, I felt like I was pregnant.
You did,
Yeah,
yeah.
that knowing always persisted with me,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, it's always persisted. Obviously, I didn't have the proof of that, but I had the knowing and the certainty within myself. And we were very also. A lot of people when I have a transfer, and I do appreciate that because it's a very sometimes a hard and difficult journey emotionally. We didn't have the luxury of being preoccupied about, am I pregnant? Am I not pregnant? Am I going to
Yeah.
put it up? Or, I'm going to do like a acupuncture and dreaming about babies and unicorns. We couldn't because we were in the middle of a pandemic. We were thrown out of an hotel. We
Mm.
became homeless. We had to arrange a new accommodation, and we had to find a way to come back to the UK because we were stranded in Cyprus. So, in a way, it was a blessing in disguise. And that's who I am a little bit. Like, I always think that obstacles in life, they are stepping stones to something better. And in this case, I saw all the obstacles as a silver lining, like a sort of, okay, this is hard, but at the same time, this takes my mind off
Mm.
all the problems like, am I going to be pregnant? Am I not going to be pregnant? I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm pregnant. Now let's concentrate on other things. And
No, that makes a lot of sense because you're just like, when you say that to me, it's like you're in the moment. So really, when we're in the moment of creativity, we can't go too far ahead. We can't go in the past. We have to be so present. And yeah, there were so many obstacles, really, is how when I viewed it as an outsider, and I was like, but somehow they kept redirecting. It kept, but
we
that
were
does happen. Yeah, yeah.
just about making it
Keep
all the
trusting,
time.
right? That's the big
Yeah.
hard piece, right? So then now then you become pregnant. I know you said you shared they transferred to you become pregnant and you're 50 years old then at pregnancy.
49 and a half. I became
So then you
51.
birthed at 50.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so I was like, I don't want to give away the endings. And I know Pili was saying there's a few more endings coming soon, right? Or not
There's
endings,
still
but a few more parts.
a few more parts. So there are in total 11 episodes, and I published 8 so far.
Okay. Because I was
Last
telling her
one is
earlier, like, wait, you left us hanging.
very nice. There's a big twist in the last 3
Yeah.
episodes. So yeah.
So we'll definitely have we'll have others kind of yeah, like watch the story, see it is. And again, my take from this story, I just felt like it was so authentic and you were sharing like moment to moment. You can tell you were just grabbing that phone and going, here's what's happening right now. And just
Yeah,
I
it
think
was
that yeah,
literally like
yeah.
that.
And
I
then
had
yeah,
nothing. Like, I'm a filmmaker, as you say, but it was
yeah,
genuine because I didn't have cameras. I didn't have anything. I had a
yeah.
really scrappy phone that was not even recording very well. And I was the reason why I wanted to record is apart from, and
That's what I was gonna ask you, right? Like why make this docuseries? What inspired you?
because because of the message that I got through my daughter, and I thought I started. I was in a few IVF groups of women that wanted to have a child later in life, and I knew what were the struggles, and I was one of them. And I started just like this one day. I made a little video of myself, and I published it in a Facebook group, and I said, "Hey, ladies, I'd like to make like a video diary because I would like to that we help each other, that we inspire each other." And I shared with them that I had the two losses, that I was pregnant naturally, etc. And if it didn't work, then I would have gone on to egg donation. And I promised them that if I would have started the egg donation journey, I would have filmed it in a way or another, just to bring the experience to all the other women, because I know it's a difficult journey, and I know it has so many, you have so many questions. And the reason why I did it is because I know that I had so many insecurities, so many questions, and I would have loved that somebody had done something
Yeah.
this for me to watch it. And I know there are videos out there. I'm not the only one doing it, but I would have loved to have the whole journey, the whole experience, everything, the ups and downs. And I would have liked it to be really authentic and real, because I want to know the truth. I don't want to know the Instagram stuff. I want to know the truth if I'm going on this journey. And so I did something that I knew that I would have liked to have.
So
And
what do
I
you see the
hope,
future? What do you see for the future of this? Do you want to work with people? Do you have a program? Do you have a book? Like what are you feeling? Or is this, yeah.
yeah, I don't really have something fixed. I would like my big wish is to create a community of women and people that want to discuss and help each other and be inspired, and create like a sort of a hub of people that can really talk in a very safe space about these topics, because there are a few forums here and there, but why I would like to create one for all the women to communicate and to empower each other, and even their men, their partners as well. And who knows, then from one thing we can do another one. But my aim is to empower and inspire women, and also to change the stigma that there is still around the world, especially in Europe, around women having children later in life, because there is still a lot of judgment. And I know that a lot of women, they do not go through with their dream because they fear the judgment. And I do understand that, because it's a really big thing, because they feel like oh, when your child is going to go to school, you're going to be the granny at the gates, because that's what people say. And it's hard. Some people, they don't care about it, but I do understand that some women do care about it. And I think it's time to speak about these things, because like we said just before, the trend is that women are going to have children later in life, not before. And our lifespan is going to increase as well. So obviously we will have children always later and later in life, but our biology still needs to catch up with this change. And maybe that's where science comes in and can help us. But then society needs to catch up as well, and not being so judgmental. And the only way to do that is to speak about it. And
Yes.
instead of speaking about it negatively, just speaking about it as something amazing. And then there is another
Yeah.
point that people are always talking about. The comment number one that people are making when a woman has a child later in life is, you're selfish because you're just thinking
Mm,
about yourself, and you don't think about your baby. And when your child is going to be 20, you're going to be already 70. First of all, life is not guaranteed for any of
that's
us.
true.
first of all. But I do understand that obviously having a child later in life has increases the chances of you leaving this world before. Agreed to that. But at the same time, the lifespan is increasing. The science is giving us always more and more opportunities to live longer. And also, if you keep yourself, healthy, etc., it doesn't mean that you're going to die at the age of 70. And I don't think it's selfish at all, because I think that having a child later in life, instead of, doing things for yourself at the age of 50, giving all your
Mm.
energy and love and time in order for another creature to come to the world, that's the most selfless act that you could ever done.
I mean, I agree because I'm an older mom, and there I love how you just said that. It was so perfect and beautiful because, and we were sharing earlier that I was looking at data, and they said in 2025 the CDC was mentioning that
Yeah,
34 and under are having less babies, and 35 and up is increased. And I thought, oh, okay. I know there's more data on that, and I think about like I'm 51 now. And I have a 9-year-old who's going to be 10. And it keeps my energy so youthful and young because at 10, there's still a beautiful innocence. And I
it
don't
is.
think a lot of people see that. Like it literally brings my energy into a whole other place. And it's just, children are just so, they're children. They're just, and I feel like it's keeping me healthier because now I have a motivation to work out and to like really stay present and,
Right.
as long as I can be. But like you said, there's never a guarantee for sure. And this is why I tell people I work with not just infants that pass, but even children. And it's like there's no promise for that. But I can understand people putting pressure on that, going, oh, I personally never got that pressure, but I know in different countries and communities and I think we do think about those things, but life has no guarantee. Like, mothers and fathers leave at all different times. Like, even, it just happens. And so for that to be an obstacle, I think it's just the judgment of people. But like you said too, we are living longer. We are with technology, health consciousness, it just is. And thank you so much for coming and sharing. And I want you to share how can others find your docuseries and watch it and maybe even reach out to you for your community that you want to create at some
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
My well, they can watch the docu-series on YouTube. You said it before. It's called 7-Eleven When Miracles Meet Numbers. And you can find me also on Instagram under Pilli Cortese or Chosen Mama. Chosen Mama, it's the name because I thought I was a chosen mama for my baby. She chose me. So that's why the handle is at the Chosen Mama. So if you look at Chosen Mama or 7-Eleven or IVF, I journey to motherhood at 50 with my name, Pilli Cortese, you will find me. And you can write me in Instagram. There is also a link tree with the beacons and all my socials. And I would really love for people to reach out. And if they have any questions, I would be there for them. That's why I'm doing this, to help other people.
Amazing. Yeah. And I'll have this in the show notes and I'll have ways that so if anyone watches it on YouTube, they can find you from Instagram and I'll actually link your YouTube so it'll be easy for people to find. And so yeah, and I think it's great what you're doing, really sharing your honest story. And I have a feeling people will reach out to you and go, how do I do this? What does this look like? And help me. I hear my baby too. So yeah, any
Now
final love? Yeah.
here's my baby.
Yeah. Any final love words you can just give to anybody that's, just, on the conception journey in our beautiful loving ages of over 40.
I know that is really a hard journey, but I also know what that for me the most powerful words are: keep belief beyond the logic, even when everything seems to go wrong. If that's the secret, when you keep believing beyond the logic in the most of the darkest of your time, that's when you're going to have a breakthrough.
Mm, perfect. Thank you so much, Peely, for being here.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for having me and for having me with your beautiful community. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you all for joining episode 247, June 2026, Spirit Baby Stories 711, where numbers meet miracles, pregnancy at 50. Thank you for joining Spirit Baby Radio with your host, me, Kelly Meehan. Please join my community and stay in touch with monthly energy rants, Spirit Baby poetry, and get access to Spirit Baby 101 with tips and practices at my newsletter at newearthchildren.com. And join me on Instagram with lives at Spirit Baby Medium, and join the Mighty Networks, the Spirit Baby Collective membership, and Motherhood to Mediumship. Remember, you are the heart that holds communication, and it is your time to connect. Come share in the great shift of your mind and the true spirit of your heart with Spirit Baby Communication.